Right, welcome ladies and gents. There has been some new information revealed about Warner Brothers DCU Superman. There was apparently a test screening not that long ago. I don't know, just as an FYI, I don't know whether this test screening is related to the other test screenings and there's just more people talking about it and so there's new information coming out. I don't know. But basically, there's a lot of information here, sort of, and the general vibe and feedback from this report about the test screening was that it's very positive. So this will obviously be, a nice confirmation bias to anyone that's really looking forward to this film, and to anyone else, they'll, take this with a pinch of salt, I guess. For me personally, I can take or leave Superman. I can take or leave, Marvel. I don't really care about either. I'd like a really good film because I like good films. I'd like this to be good. So we'll see. There's nothing really that I watched that made me go, yeah, like I'm super keen on this movie. For those that watched my first trailer breakdown for this film, I was ready to, I think I was actually really positive for it, to be honest. The only thing I didn't like, and it came out later, was that weird shot of him flying, and you could see the wang eye, the boss eye going on. It was a bit odd, and I stand by that. That's really weird. It's quite off-putting. But anyway, this report here, which we'll take a look at, does supposedly contain some spoilers. I will say, I don't think there's any spoilers in there, just as an FYI. But if you don't want any spoilers at all, you don't want to run the risk of any spoilers, don't watch this video, obviously. But I don't see any of these as spoilers. So, yeah. But anyway, the bottom line is, if you just want a take-home, is that it's said to be a positive movie. As in, like, it's a good movie, and the response was very positive to the test screening. So, if you don't want to watch, then you've got the quick overview. However, before we get into it, please do hit subscribe if you're a returning viewer that hasn't yet. There's about 50% of you, and it'd be really, really good if you could hit that subscribe button. I'm trying, and I do, I say trying. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be great. It means that you can stay updated on everything. There's lots of people that come back to the channel that are like, I didn't know you were even still making videos. Because YouTube, if you don't subscribe, will just phase someone out of their algorithm. So please do hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. But anyway, here is the report. This particular report dropped yesterday, although I do know that some of this information has been available for a little while, supposedly, anyway. So, yeah, this report here. This all comes to us, and I've got to say this, and let me explain. Comes to us from DCU Leaks on Reddit. Wait. Because I know there's a contingent of people that don't like Reddit, and they think it's all nonsense. There's a lot of movies that have their plots and details leaked on Reddit. Like, a lot, and it actually has quite a heavy history of being completely legit now. That's not to say that this is legit. We don't know. But don't immediately discount it. You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you did. So this was all sort of popped over on DCU Leaks. And, yeah, interestingly, let's have a look. So, they say that apparently the film wasn't a comedy, but did have funny moments in it. Now, I'm not sure how much I agree with that. I think ultimately, I mean, look, films can have funny moments and not be comedies. I get it, obviously. But I think a film like this that's going to be bright coloured and have levity and all this kind of stuff with funny moments, I think leans itself much more to being classified as a comedy than others. But whatever, who knows? It says this, characters aren't who people think they are. Now, I think that is relating to the Ultraman situation, but there were some reveals about that, potentially. So I don't know. Who knows? I think that's to do with Ultraman. And they do say online speculation is dead wrong. Now, again, that could be to do with Ultraman. That could be to do with the overall movie. I don't know. If it's to do with Ultraman, then that would imply that he doesn't become Bizarro by the end of the movie, and he isn't a Superman clone. Who knows? Again, who knows? This is just a report. We will see how it goes moving forward. Most of the trailer scenes are from early in the film. Now, if that is the case, that's really good. I think a lot of people are really sick Really, really, really sick of trailers showing essentially the bulk of the movie. If this is all from early in the film, that's good. That's really good. It would also make sense because of Superman being sort of downtrodden by the population of Metropolis. And so, you know, having him then have a sort of big character arc through the movie to be a bit more positive with people, I think that makes sense. Now, this is interesting. So it says Krypto plays an important role, but it felt a little tacked in and that part felt artificial. Now, I mean, it's a bloody CGI dog. It's always going to feel artificial. In terms of his important role and it being tacked in, yeah, maybe it was. Maybe it was tacked in. That doesn't sound positive, though. That sounds a little bit negative. So apparently there is no after-credit scene, but that's just because of what they were shown. It doesn't mean that they, you know, might not put one in, you know, in the movie moving forwards. That it's just, obviously that is the case, that they could still put one in. But as it stands now, there's no after-credit scene. So while Rick Flag Sr. is in the film, and he plays a rather short role, there were no nods to Creature Commandos, but the individual who watched this movie is actually not a DC file, so they could have missed something. That makes sense. That's perfectly fine. It is strange that they wouldn't make a nod to Creature Commandos, but whatever. There was, however, a nod to Amanda Waller, though it wasn't an audience wink, and it is a blink and you'll miss it moment. That could be good. We'll see. So the source's impression were that the film is good from a person who doesn't follow DC films. The source is not a comic book buff. Doesn't like, you know, he's not a comic book buff with DC or Marvel, but they enjoyed it. So that's actually a good sign. That's like the average Joe liking the movie. That's nothing but good. So the secondary plot of the film focused primarily on Lois and Clark. Brosnahan stole every scene she was in. And the source that watched this movie loves Ms. Maisel, so they could be biased. I think anyone that's watched Ms. Maisel, where you could see Rachel Brosnahan and her Brosnahans hanging out, I think most people would be a bit biased. So yes, Nicholas Hoult was apparently good as Lex Luthor, which I think that was evident from the trailer and anyone that's followed his career. But he overacts a bit. He does anger very well, but he was a bit much in other scenes. I think that's subjective. We'll see. I think that's quite a good, good sign, to be fair. I think Lex Luthor needs to be a bit much here and there. So his two goons were delightful and worked well with Lex's energy. Feels like they helped, but weren't absolutely necessary. I think that's fine. Some of the effects don't work, though obviously we don't know if they're finished. We have no idea. But apparently the Ice Palace the effects were very rough in the Ice Palace. Some of the effects with the big monster, the kaiju thing, were rough and thought his face looked a bit goofy. So also their source said that it had a lot of characters, but it didn't feel like they took away from the main plot. So there you go. There really is nothing else to say. It's very positive. It sounds good. I tell you what, it sounds good, but it also sounds objective, I think. There's enough in here which is an element of objective critique to make me go, yeah, maybe there's some truth here. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.